He man who controlled $50 billion of Trinidad's money just lost his power but kept all his secrets about wealth, property and family deals. Colm Imbert spent almost 10 years as Trinidad's finance minister controlling billions of dollars in government spending, but nobody really knows how much he's worth or what properties he owns. In September 2015, when the PM won the election, Imbert became Minister of Finance and held that position until March 2025, when his party lost power. For nearly a decade, this man decided how Trinidad and Tobago spent its money, presented 10 national budgets, and acted as Prime Minister over 60 times. He controlled a budget that reached almost 60 billion Trinidad and Tobago dollars in 2025. That's massive power over a small country's economy. But behind all that public service, there's a private life that includes a wife whose company got paid millions by government agencies, properties that nobody talks about, and wealth that estimates put anywhere from $1 million to over $1 billion depending on who you ask. This isn't just about a politician who lost an election. This is about what happens when someone controls billions in public money while building private wealth, and how much the public really knows about any of it. Colm Peter Imbert was born July 30, 1957, which makes him 67 years old now. He's not from a poor background like some Caribbean politicians. He went to good schools, including the Abbey School, Mount St. Benedict, and St. Mary's College in Trinidad for his secondary education. Then he went to the University of the West Indies in Trinidad, where he got a degree in civil engineering with honors in 1979. Right after graduating, he worked as a consulting civil engineer on projects throughout the Caribbean. While building his engineering practice, he went back to school and got a master's degree in maritime civil engineering from the University of Manchester in England. He was officially registered as an engineer in Trinidad and Tobago in 1986. But Imbert didn't just stay in engineering. He kept studying throughout his entire career, collecting degrees like some people collect stamps. In 2007, he got a Master of Laws degree in construction law and arbitration with distinction from Aberdeen Business School in Scotland. Then in 2016, he got another master's degree in oil and gas law, also with distinction, and specialized in fiscal regimes and oil taxation. In 2025, he added a fourth master's degree in Miscon Finance with a specialization in economic policy from SOAS University of London with merit. That's for master's degrees in completely different fields. The man clearly loves learning and wanted to understand every angle of how money works, especially in the energy sector, which drives Trinidad's economy. Imbert entered politics in December 1991 when he won the Diego Martin Northeast constituency as a member of the People's National Movement. He's represented that same area ever since. That's over 33 consecutive years as an elected member of parliament, which is a huge achievement in any democracy. In his first term, he immediately became a cabinet minister with responsibility for the Ministry of Works and Transport and local government until 1995. When the PM lost that election, Imbert went into opposition for the first time. During the period from 1995 to 2001, he focused on his engineering skills, working as a property developer and project manager throughout the Caribbean. This is where things get interesting, because nobody really knows what properties Imbert developed, where they are, or how much money he made from those deals. In 2001, Imbert came back to cabinet as Minister of Health and served until 2003. Then he became Minister of Science, Technology, and Tertiary Education from 2003 to 2005. After that, he went back to his original portfolio as Minister of Works and Transport from 2005 to 2010. In 2007, he also became Leader of the House, which is an important position in Parliament. During those years as Works Minister, he oversaw massive infrastructure projects, roads, highways, bridges, and all the construction contracts that come with them. Again, this raises questions about potential conflicts of interest given his background as a property developer, but no major scandals emerged during that time. In 2010, the PM lost another election and Imbert went into opposition for the third time. This time he became chairman of the Public Accounts Committee of Parliament, which is the committee that investigates government spending and tries to catch corruption. It's ironic that he would later face questions about his own family's dealings with government money. Then came 2015 when the PM won again and Prime Minister Keith Rowley appointed Imbert as Minister of Finance. This was the big one. Finance Minister is arguably the second most powerful position in government after the Prime Minister. Imbert held this position from September 2015 until March 2025. That's almost 10 years of controlling Trinidad and Tobago's purse strings. As Finance Minister, Imbert presented 10 consecutive national budgets. The 2025 budget that he presented in September 2024 had total revenue of 54.224 billion Trinidad dollars and total expenditure of 59.741 billion with a fiscal deficit of 5.517 billion. Those are huge numbers for a country of only 1.4 million people. Imbert also acted as Prime Minister on over 60 occasions when Keith Rowley was traveling or unavailable. During his time as Finance Minister, Trinidad faced some serious economic challenges. Oil and gas prices fluctuated wildly. The COVID-19 pandemic hit the economy hard. Inflation spiked. Foreign exchange became scarce. The Heritage and Stabilization Fund, which is Trinidad's sovereign wealth fund, had to be tapped multiple times to cover budget shortfalls. Imbert's supporters say he did a good job managing the economy through difficult times. They point to the fact that Trinidad didn't have to go to the IMF for emergency loans like some other Caribbean countries. The Heritage Fund grew to about $6 billion under his watch even after withdrawals. Infrastructure projects continued. Social programs were maintained. His critics say the economy stagnated under his leadership. Growth was anemic, barely reaching 2% in good years. Unemployment stayed high, especially among young people. The business community complained constantly about the foreign exchange shortage. Crime spiraled out of control, partly because the economy wasn't creating enough legitimate opportunities for young men. Small businesses struggled to survive, while big connected contractors seemed to do just fine. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room, which is Imbert's wife, Suzanne Williams Imbert, and her company Bolt Trinidad Limited. This is where things got messy and raised serious questions about conflicts of interest. In November 2016, a newspaper article alleged that the Housing Development Corporation paid 7.5 million Trinidad dollars to Bolt Trinidad Limited in April 2016. The timing was suspicious because this payment came after 2 years of the HDC allegedly refusing to pay invoices that Bolt had submitted. The article claimed that the Ministry of Finance released funds through the Public Service Investment Program specifically to enable the HDC to pay Suzanne Williams Imbert's company the full amount it was owed. 4 months after Bolt got paid, the ministry then injected $300 million into the HDC to pay other contractors. The HDC responded with a full-page newspaper ad vehemently denying the allegations. They said they only paid $102,489.75 to Bolt in April 2016, not $7.5 million. They admitted owing Bolt a total of $417,315.77 for consulting services onto HDC projects from 2004. The HDC said the company was hired after a proper tendering process back in July 2004, when it was still called the National Housing Authority. But here's the problem. 7.5 million and 102,000 are vastly different numbers. Either the newspaper got it completely wrong, or the HDC wasn't telling the full story. The matter seems to have died there with no independent investigation or audit to clear things up. Opposition politicians at the time called for public procurement legislation to be enacted immediately to prevent this kind of situation where a minister's family member could potentially benefit from government contracts. They also wanted political party finance legislation so that all contributions over a certain amount would be publicly disclosed. Neither of those laws have been fully implemented, even now in 2025. The whole Bolt Trinidad situation raises obvious questions. How did Suzanne Williams Imbert's company get hired for government projects in the first place? Was the tendering process really fair and transparent? Did Colm Imbert recuse himself from any decisions involving payments to his wife's company? How much money has Bolt Trinidad Limited received from government entities over the years? Nobody has clear answers to any of these questions. Then there's the question of Imbert's personal wealth. Some estimates put his net worth at around $1 million to $6 million US dollars. Other sources claim it could be over $1 billion Trinidad dollars, though those numbers seem inflated and unreliable. The truth is, nobody knows for sure because Trinidad doesn't have strong asset declaration laws for public officials. Politicians are supposed to file declarations with the Integrity Commission, but those declarations aren't made public, and the commission has limited power to investigate or enforce compliance. Imbert's income as finance minister would have been his parliamentary salary, plus ministerial allowance, which is decent but not huge, probably around 50 to 70,000 Trinidad dollars per month. But he also had income from his engineering consulting practice, his property development work, and whatever his wife's company earned. Over a 33-year political career plus decades in engineering and property development, it's entirely possible that Imbert accumulated substantial wealth legitimately. Or maybe he didn't. We just don't know. What we do know is that Imbert lived a comfortable lifestyle. He has property in his constituency of Diego Martin Northeast, which is one of the more affluent areas of Trinidad. He traveled internationally frequently, both for government business and presumably personal trips. He clearly invested heavily in his education, given all those master's degrees, but he wasn't flashy about his wealth. You didn't see stories about him buying luxury cars or building massive mansions or throwing lavish parties. He maintained a relatively low profile outside of his official duties, which is smart for someone in his position. On April 28, 2025, Trinidad held a general election, and the PAM got crushed. The United National Congress, led by Colm Imbert, won 26 seats, while the PAM only won 13. Imbert himself won his Diego Martin Northeast seat with 7,064 votes, beating his opponent Brendan Butts from the People's Empowerment Party, who got 3,525 votes. But winning his seat didn't matter because his party lost the government. After almost 10 years as finance minister, Imbert was suddenly in opposition. Colm Imbert attended an opposition meeting 3 weeks ago looking for support, and it has been revealed that Mrs. Colm Imbert has now turned Imbert down. The new finance minister is Davindranath Tengku, who was appointed May 3, 2020. In the aftermath of the election loss, Imbert gave a revealing speech at a PAM rally in Diego Martin on September 10, 2025. He seemed to blame decision-making under the former leadership for the party's defeat. He said the PAM made stupid mistakes in each of the recent general elections it lost in 1995, 2010, and 2025. He complained that the party did not connect with the people and make decisions based on consensus coming from the base and from the general population. That was a pretty damning admission from someone who was literally the vice chairman of the party and one of its most senior figures. It basically confirms that the PM leadership, including Imbert himself, became arrogant and out of touch during their years in power. There was also drama within the PM after the election. Former Prime Minister Keith Rowley, in his last act as political leader, revoked the appointments of Imbert and Dr. Nyan Gadsby Dali as deputy political leaders of the party. This was shocking because it meant Rowley blamed them at least partly for the electoral defeat. Neither Rowley nor the General Council explained why he did this. Reports say Gadsby Dali and Imbert both learned about their lost portfolios after the fact. That's a brutal way to end a long political career. The PM then appointed Penelope Beckles as opposition leader with support from 6 MPs including Imbert, but the damage was done. Imbert went from being finance minister and acting prime minister to being a regular opposition MP with no special position in the party hierarchy. Since losing power, Imbert has remained active, speaking out on various issues. In November 2025, he raised concerns about a 26% drop in First Citizens Bank share prices, claiming something sinister was happening. He suggested that someone might be manipulating the stock price by selling small amounts of shares to artificially drive down the price. Current Finance Minister Tengku dismissed Imbert's concerns, saying there was nothing worthy of comment. But Imbert's intervention shows he's still trying to be relevant, still trying to position himself as someone who understands finance and is looking out for ordinary shareholders. Whether anyone is listening anymore is another question. The bigger story here is about accountability and transparency in Caribbean politics. Colm Imbert controlled a $50 billion budget for almost 10 years. He made decisions that affected every single person in Trinidad and Tobago. He had the power to approve or deny contracts worth millions of dollars. He influenced energy policy, taxation, infrastructure spending, social programs, everything. Yet the public knows very little about his personal finances, his properties, his business interests, or his family's dealings with government. His wife's company received payments from government entities while he was in cabinet. He worked as a property developer during opposition periods when presumably he had connections and inside knowledge that could benefit his business. He collected multiple advanced degrees that would have cost hundreds of thousands of dollars to obtain. None of this is necessarily corrupt or illegal. It's entirely possible that everything Imbert did was above board and legitimate. But the point is, we don't know because Trinidad doesn't have the systems in place to ensure transparency. There's no strong public procurement law. There's no political party financing law. Asset declarations aren't public. Conflict of interest rules are weak. The Integrity Commission is under-resourced and toothless. This creates an environment where politicians can potentially enrich themselves or their families while in office and face little scrutiny or consequences. The $50 billion question is, how much wealth did Colm Imbert accumulate during his 33 years in politics and decades in business, and was all of it earned honestly? We may never know the real answer. What we do know is that he went from being an engineer to one of the most powerful politicians in Trinidad, and along the way his standard of living improved considerably. Whether that happened through hard work and smart investments or through leveraging political connections and inside access is something only he and perhaps his accountant really know. His wife Suzanne Williams Imbert and her company Bolt Trinidad remain mysterious figures with very little public information about their operations or earnings. The properties Imbert developed during his time out of office in the 90s and early 2000s are undocumented, at least publicly. His current holdings are unknown. Subscribe to find out which other Caribbean finance ministers are hiding million-dollar fortunes and family business deals the public never hears about.